Welcome, my friend. If you've decided to watch this video, it probably means you've realized that something in this space, in your life, needs to change. Perhaps you've already noticed that the harder you try to control your life, the more it slips through your hands. So stop for a moment. Put aside everything that currently fills your mind and listen to this important lesson. You probably already know that despite all your efforts, life still flows in its own unpredictable rhythm. Maybe you're exhausted by the fact that every unexpected event, every small mistake in your careful plan, sends you spiraling into fear, frustration, and a sense of failure. It's time to understand that true strength doesn't lie in control, but in the art of trust and acceptance of what happens both around and within us. In this video, I'll show you how to stop fighting against the current and start working with life. How to reclaim the energy you waste on control and channel it toward joy in the present moment. Because peace doesn't come when everything is perfect. Peace comes when you stop being afraid and accept things as they are, without the need to fix them immediately. Like this video if you feel that now is the time to free yourself from the urge to control every little detail. Let this be your first small step toward creating a calmer tomorrow. And now let's move to the core of it. Truth number 1. 9 out of 10 of your fears are illusions, and there's proof of that. We want to let go of control, yet something keeps holding us tightly. Something forces us to constantly check, plan, and anticipate the worst. That something is fear. Fear is the fuel that drives your need for control. It's the source of that spiral of frustration I mentioned earlier. You try to control because you're afraid of failure, rejection, and pain. Yet most fears we carry inside us never come true. How much energy do you waste every single day worrying about the future? How many hours do you spend replaying the worst-case scenarios in your mind? But what if I told you that most of that effort is wasted, and there's scientific evidence to prove it? Researchers decided to study the phenomenon of chronic worrying. They asked a group of people to record, over an extended period of time, all their greatest fears, everything that kept them awake at night. Then they checked how many of those fears actually came true. The results were astonishing. On average, between 85 and 91% of their worries never happened. Think about that. Nearly 9 out of 10 catastrophes you've imagined in your head, the ones that robbed you of peace and joy, were nothing but illusions. Shadows on the wall that you mistook for monsters. All right, you might say, but what about the rest? What about that 10 to 15% of situations that did go wrong? That's where the real magic happens. For the fears that actually materialized, the participants almost unanimously admitted 2 things. First, they handled those situations much better than they had expected. And second, every one of those experiences taught them something so valuable that in the end, they gained more than they lost. What does that really mean for you? These studies prove 2 key things. First, that most of your fears are unnecessary. And second, and perhaps more important, that your ability to handle life's challenges is far greater than you think. Fear is the fuel behind control. You try to control everything because you don't trust that you'll cope. But the evidence shows you always do. So what's the practical takeaway? Instead of focusing on potential problems that will likely never happen, bring your attention back to the present moment. To what you can actually control here and now. The next time fear starts to rise and your mind rushes toward catastrophe, remind yourself of this rule. Okay, I'm afraid. But the statistics are on my side. 9 out of 10 of these thoughts are false alarms. And even if one comes true, I'll deal with it. I always do. That's what wise reasoning looks like. That's how you reclaim your inner calm. Truth number 2. The more you try to control life, the more it escapes you. Think about how many times you've tried to make relationships, your career, or finances go your way. You made plans, built strategies, and still something slipped away. That's not life being cruel. It's simply the nature of life, it's constant change. You can plan your actions, but you can't predict every outcome. And the more you try to steer every detail, the more tension you feel. We like to believe that control brings safety, but that's an illusion. Control is a hidden thief of your peace. Every day you waste energy on things you can't influence anyway. When you're constantly trying to foresee the future, you lose the only place where life truly unfolds, the present moment. We're here and now, boy. Ask yourself, what will happen if I stop trying so hard to control this? Will anything really fall apart? Usually nothing happens. The world doesn't collapse, and you feel relief once you realize that. Our lives are full of imagined scenarios that exist only in our minds. We're afraid things won't work out, that we'll fail, that we'll disappoint someone. But life often unfolds differently than we planned, not to punish us, but to open new doors. Not every loss is an ending. Sometimes it's a beginning you don't yet understand. Not every closed door means stop. Sometimes it's an invitation to take a different path. Truth number 3. Life has its own rhythm. Trust it. Look back on your life. How many times did something that felt like the end turn out to be the beginning of something better? How many times did you not get what you wanted, only to realize later it was the best thing that could have happened? Life has its own wisdom. Sometimes it leads you along a straight road, and sometimes it takes you through mountains and valleys to teach you acceptance and trust. Every situation, even the difficult ones, is part of a bigger plan you can't yet see. It's like standing too close to a painting. All you see are spots of color. Only when you take a step back does the whole image make sense. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to understand every turn. Don't rush the flow of things. Let them unfold at their own pace. Instead of pushing time, let it work in your favor. Trust your inner compass, and it knows which way to go. It won't show you the whole path, but it will always reveal the next step. Never worry about anything. Everything will unfold exactly as it should. That sentence is like a key. It opens the door to peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. When you stop worrying, you return to the present, to the only place where you truly live. Trusting the rhythm of life means believing that even when things don't go your way, it's happening for a reason. Maybe it's preparing you for something better, something you can't yet see. This shift from fear to trust frees you from the need to have all the answers. It teaches that you don't need to see the entire map to begin the journey. You only need to take the next step with faith. Truth number 4. Trust is not passivity, it's courage. Many people confuse trust with resignation. They think that if they let go of control, everything will fall apart. But that's not true. Trust doesn't mean doing nothing. It's not the absence of action, it's action from a different place. From a place of inner calm, not fear. It's the courage to take a step forward, even when you can't see the whole road ahead. It's the decision, I don't know what will happen, but I trust that I'll handle it. Not because you have guarantees, but because you know that no matter the outcome, you'll manage. Life always gives you only as much as you can carry at any given time. When you trust, you start noticing opportunities you couldn't see before. Trust is quiet strength. It's the calm that comes from knowing that everything has its rhythm and time. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is letting go. Not because you're afraid, but because you sense it's the right moment to allow life to unfold in its own way. Letting go of control over the result doesn't mean giving up effort. On the contrary, it lets you focus on what you can actually do now. When you stop obsessing over outcomes, you rediscover joy in the process itself. And that peace often leads to better results and deeper satisfaction. Letting go of control also means realizing that you are strong enough to handle whatever life brings, even when you don't know the way yet. It's also about accepting your own human imperfection, allowing yourself to make mistakes. Instead of punishing yourself for every fall, treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer your best friend. That's when self-compassion is born. That gentle yet powerful force that helps you rise after failure, learn and move on with greater wisdom. It's a fundamental step in building inner resilience, the ability to face life with courage, calm, and trust. Truth number 5. Wise acceptance, focusing on what you can influence. The most important stage of this journey is deep acceptance. But what does it really mean? It means understanding that we are not omnipotent. We can't control the decisions of others, the global economy, or the past. Clinging tightly to the past doesn't change it. It only changes you. It steals the peace you could have right now. Acceptance gives you strength because it releases the energy trapped in resistance. Every one of us experiences moments we'd rather avoid, difficult conversations, losses, disappointments. We instinctively try to fight them or pretend they don't exist. But resistance doesn't remove pain, it only prolongs it. What you resist persists. What you accept begins to heal. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means wisely recognizing the limits of your influence and consciously choosing to act where your presence truly matters. As long as you try to control every detail, as long as you fight what's beyond your power, life becomes constant tension. True strength doesn't come from controlling everything, but from knowing what is truly within your reach. You can't control whether someone understands you, or whether the world responds the way you hope, or whether tomorrow will be kind. But you have 100% control over how you respond today. You control the tone of your voice, the thought you choose, the gesture you make, or the word you speak or consciously hold back. It's not the world that decides your peace, but the way you interpret it. Two people can live through the same event. One finds a lesson in it, the other only pain. The difference doesn't lie in fate, but in perception and response. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening?" ask, "How do I want to respond?" That question shifts your attention from what you can't control to what is in your hands. From victim to creator. In practice, it comes down to 2 steps. I acknowledge what I cannot change and stop fighting it. I release resistance. Then I focus on what depends on me. The quality of my presence, my choices, and the small steps I can take today. I don't have to understand everything. I don't have to fix everything. I allow things to be and choose the best possible response. When you speak to yourself this way, tension falls away like a weight lifted from your shoulders. Powerful energy returns to where it truly serves you, to your reactions, your attitude, and your decisions. This subtle shift, repeated daily, changes your whole life. The more you focus on what you truly can control, your inner world, your peace, your choices, the less power external circumstances have over you. Here, at the intersection of acceptance and conscious influence, freedom begins. You no longer need to control everything, because you've understood that life flows according to its own rhythm. You don't need to know all the answers, because you've discovered that trust is also a form of wisdom. You don't need to fight what you can't change, because you found the strength of acceptance. Everything you've been searching for, peace, clarity, direction, was never hidden in the outside world. It was inside you, waiting for you to stop resisting. Because life doesn't expect perfection from you. It only asks for your presence, your willingness to do what you can, and the trust that the rest will unfold on its own. Each day you can choose fear or peace, resistance or acceptance, or struggle or trust. The world doesn't have to change for you to feel at ease. You can change the way you see the world. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If this video brought you even a little peace, leave a like or a comment. And if you feel that someone close to you might need this reflection too, share it with them. Sometimes a single sentence can change an entire life. And I'm rooting for your transformation. Write your affirmation in the comments. Let it be your personal reminder that everything you seek is already yours, already within you.